Okay, so calling the meeting to order. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. We have 3 delegations, but before we get to delegations, I'd just like to point out a change in the agenda. 6.1 was inadvertently included on the agenda. We will not have a presentation this morning on hardware and software policy. Okay, I know I got so many questions on that via email. Yeah. So, Mary Jane Paterson, Reep. Welcome, Mary Jane. Nice to see you again.
Good morning, everyone. Chair Strickland, Chair Redmond, councillors, staff, and visitors. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. And with me today is Patrick Gilbride, manager of our Green Infrastructure and Climate Adaptation Programs. And this is the 20th anniversary of our presentation to Council. Reep is 20 years old now. So we're going to be giving you a preview of our annual report that will be released next week. And it's going to look back over 20 years of impact. Today we'll focus a little more on the programs we're doing, especially with the region. So you know that Reep Green Solutions is an environmental charity. We help us all live more sustainably. And you see the show Do Connect on the side of that slide. We show people how to live more sustainably, and more we do that with them through installations on the spot or in neighborhoods. And we connect people with each other to build momentum in climate action and sustainable living. One concept connects all of our work, taking action on climate change. Reep co-leads the Climate Action Plan with Sustainable Waterloo Region. And the city, all the cities, municipalities, and the regional municipality are important partners in that initiative. Last year, after our unanimous approval of the 80% reduction target by 2050, our partnership secured funding from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to create the plan that will get us to that target. And we're working with 2 local consulting companies on that, on the community engagement and on the technical expertise. So this is a heads up, councillors and staff, that will be looking for your input into this plan. We're going to be mining our local capacity and our local expertise. And we also want to ask you, where are the gaps that you see that we can help fill with this funding? What expertise do you need for us to bring in so we can increase our capacity as a community to address climate change? We've already started gathering feedback from the community and to create our shared vision for 2050. Since July, our street teams have been to 18 events and talked to 450 people, and we're continuing to gather that important community input into this plan. Coming up soon in October, you're probably as excited as I am that the Zero Waste Challenge is going to be starting soon. That's where we take a mason jar and use it to put all the waste that can't be composted or recycled into it for 1 week. That's what would be going to the landfill. And it's a real eye-opener for us about what waste we're personally contributing to the landfill and what we could reduce. If you are wondering how you could support Reep, I want to invite you to take part in this challenge with your family. Believe it or not, it's fun. It's very interesting, and it would be tremendous if you would post on Facebook a photo of your jar. I know that some of you have done that, and it's tremendously helpful. When I look at the photos on the picture, I realize almost all of them works at Reep or volunteers at Reep, and I think it's because people are shy about maybe that hunk of styrofoam sticking out of the top of the jar. But that's a great conversation starter. It really gets the community talking about it. So join us in posting your results on Facebook. We would love to see it. I'll say a little about home energy retrofits, which has been kind of a core foundation for Reep. It's in a bit of a quiet period right now. There are still some incentives for Union Gas, now Enbridge, customers. So that's Waterloo and Cambridge. No incentives at all in the city of Kitchener right now. I've spent time over the last couple of years meeting with federal representatives, asking for a federal incentive for all homes, regardless of the fuel type and where they're located. And I'll keep doing that. I'll keep working on it. We're also looking at whether we should be looking at different ways of financing home retrofits. You may remember a few years ago when Reep talked about local improvement charge financing as a way to possibly help people cover that capital cost and pay it back on their property tax bill. We maybe were too early in the game, I don't know, but some other municipalities like Toronto are doing that, and I think we want to pay attention and see if that's something we should reconsider for our area. And there may be other ways through social impact investing that we can help homeowners retrofit their homes. So we'll keep you posted on that. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Patrick to talk about the water side of our work and climate adaptation side.
Thanks, Mary Jane. So we've been very busy providing wet water audits for homes on behalf of the region of Waterloo. This continues to have a very positive response from homeowners, with over 1,000 participating over the past 3 years. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide, we're also able to install shower heads, faucet aerators, and fix toilet leaks for flapper valves on the spot. So that gets the water saving started immediately. So we're very happy to partner with the region that meets this community need and produces results. We're also very proud to have been a contributor to the region's climate adaptation plan, and we're working hard to help achieve some of the priorities within it. This fall, we are organizing workshops in partnership with the region, the cities of Cambridge, Waterloo, and Kitchener, and the GRCA to start a conversation about flood resiliency on a neighborhood scale. The Greening Your Neighborhood workshops will gather ideas and feedback from local residents on reducing runoff using green infrastructure. The goal is to build upon the local knowledge of residents, guided by the expertise of engineers, planners, and landscape designers. And also with our Deep Paved Paradise program, we help to forge community partnerships that literally transform our landscape. Each Deep Paved Paradise project engages volunteers to liberate the soil from underneath asphalt and other hard surfaces, and plant trees and gardens, which in turn become public amenities. We're proud of the work we've done to date with the New Hamburg Board of Trade and the Township of Wilmot to make Deep Paved Paradise a reality in their downtown. And we'd welcome you to be part of that come this October to take part in that transformation. Also stay tuned for another Deep Paved Paradise project at Keatsway Public School in Waterloo. So now I'll turn things back over to Mary Jane to talk about Project Neutral.
Project Neutral is an online platform that helps us each calculate our own household carbon footprint and then gives us ways to reduce it. We want to say a very big thank you to the Region of Waterloo for providing funding for this year and next year for the community engagement to roll this out. That was such welcome news last year that we could really give this a chance to get out into the community. You can see we're starting to ramp up towards our target. In fact, the number is even bigger than what you see there because we had a great event on the weekend. So new users in 2019 now is over 300. And we've been, since we learned that the funding was confirmed in the spring, we've been planning for the fall. And we have a number of presentations and workshops lined up now for Rotary clubs, different service clubs, businesses, and schools. And we want to tell you how we are leveraging your support to have a greater impact. One way is through the University of Waterloo. Our founder and board member, Paul Parker, has secured a SHIRK grant to study the effectiveness of our community engagement strategies and of the tool itself in helping people reduce emissions. So a student of his will do his PhD project partly based on this, and we're really glad to have that kind of rigor applied to our work and for the learning that we'll receive from that. And secondly, we're really excited to partner with the museum They're going to be having a climate change festival from January to Labor Day and exhibits throughout the museum on climate change. We've been delighted to be invited to be part of that in a few different ways. Climate Action WR is looking at, our collaborative is thinking about the way we can have a presence there. Reep is going to have Project Neutral there in a kiosk with some iPads. We're still figuring out how it's going to work. But after people go through all of those exhibits and learn about climate change, they'll have a chance to see what they're personally contributing to it at the Project Neutral kiosk. And that's possible because of your support to get our team together and ready to engage with the museum. So that's how we're leveraging your support, and thank you very much for that. Fresh Air Feast this Saturday. Who's coming? Yay, thank you everybody who's planning to come. We're looking forward to celebrating with you. It's hard to believe it's been 20 years since Ryan Kennedy and I first roamed the halls of the University of Waterloo trying to get people to participate in our program. We're going to celebrate. We will be delighted to share that with you. Finally, we'll end our presentation with what I take as the most important slide everywhere I go when I'm making a presentation. Without the support of our core funders, including you, the Region of Waterloo, we would not have the capacity to bring these programs and resources to our community. So we want to say a very big thank you. And we always appreciate this chance to say thank you to the staff that we get to work with throughout the year from the region. It is a pleasure, and together we are helping people live more sustainably. That's it.
Great. Thank you very much, Mary Jane and Patrick. Really appreciate the presentation. We have a couple questions. Chair Redmond.
Thank you, Chair Strickland. Thank you for your presentation. I'm always inspired. And this year I am going to try your zero waste challenge.
Excellent.
So can you tell us how we sign up? I think some people around this horseshoe have tried it. I've always been too intimidated. So I'm going to formally throw out a challenge that everybody around this horseshoe can try it this year. Can you tell us how we sign up and what the parameters are when we start?
I'm going to send a special invitation to all of you with a link. There is a registration. That part is so helpful, because we can tell everybody how many and that the numbers are growing. And we'd like to know about how many pets are participating also.
And how do we sign up for Project Neutral?
You've got a card in front of you, I think, each of you. So thank you for asking. The website is right there. Click on, you have to do a little login password thing. I am so sorry about that, but it's the only way that we can know how people are doing and how people are doing in Waterloo Region. So once you're past that, it's a quick 5 minutes for an initial kind of assessment of your carbon footprint, and then any part of that you're interested in, you can go in deeper, give more information, and hear more back.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jaworski.
Well, Chair Redmond, while it's intimidating, it is a lot of fun, but you can easily go off the rails quite quickly, as I found out on the first 24 hours, when you realize so many things that you pick up are actually garbage. And even on the Monday, hitting out with, trying to get a quick sandwich at a grocery store, you realize that the packaging wasn't recyclable. They thought it was, but it wasn't. And so the good news is, by Wednesday, all you're doing is eating apples and bananas. So anyway, well done. Look forward to seeing you on Sunday at some point in time after
Saturday.
other events. Thank you.
Great.
Okay,
Thanks.
no further questions. Thanks very much. Keep up the great
you all.
work. Thanks. Samantha Lawson, GRCA. Welcome, Samantha. Okay, Councillor Jowett.
Thank you, Chair Strickland. I'm very proud on behalf of GRCA Board to introduce our new CAO. As of July 15th of this year, Samantha succeeds Joe Farwell and is now the CAO of our GRCA. She started, actually Joe started with us in 2010. So he feels a bit like a relic, but he was pretty happy at his retirement party, wasn't he? Sam, who joined us in resource planning back in 2005 and then became the manager of properties in 2012, is very much experienced and knowledgeable in urban planning, water quality, environmental impact assessments, wetlands, natural resource management, and so much more. Her education includes a degree in environmental studies from the U of W, a master's in geography from U of G, and a master's of public administration from Western. And if there was any indication that she's going to take this job by fire, it was certainly at AMO this year. So I'm very, very proud to have her join us, and on behalf of the board, welcome her to say hello to council.
Thank you, Councillor Jowett. Samantha, the floor is yours. Just move it down a little bit, so there you go.
Thank you for having me here to introduce myself.
Well, thanks for coming in. We got at least one question. Councillor McGarry.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to congratulate you on your new role, and thank you for taking it on at, was probably not the easiest start with with what had come forward just ahead of AMO, but I also wanted to echo Councillor Jowett's comments on your presence and your thoughtful demeanor during the AMO conference, and the time that you came in with us, as well as some of the other delegations that you were in. I think the same feedback was provided, that you did an excellent job, and you're taking it on at a sort of a crucial time to ensure that our relationship with the GRCA and the municipalities in the province is a good one moving forward. So again, I just really wanted to offer my congratulations and my confidence in your ability moving us ahead.
Thank you very much.
Oh, great. Thanks for that, Councillor McGarry, and thanks so much for coming in, Samantha. And I think it's very nice of you to do this. I think it's a smart move, because the next time we see you is going to be budget. So I'm sure you're very, very much aware of that. So thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next we have Pam and Emily from Impact Festival. Welcome.
Thank you to the chair and for members of Regional Council for having us here today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Pam Patel, the Artistic Director of local theater company Empty Space. As you may know, our biennial International Theater Festival, Impact 19, will be happening soon from September 24th to 29th, taking over downtown Kitchener core to bring high-caliber productions from Tunisia, Iran, Mexico, Ecuador, across Canada, as well as showcasing local work, including our very own production, Amal. I stand here today to personally invite and encourage you all to attend this award-winning festival that has helped to put Waterloo Region on the theater map. But this isn't the only reason that we're here this morning. Impact 19 is an example of how Empty Space has grown over the past 15 years into an organization that has become a home for artists, tells marginalized narratives to foster a belonging community, and is now an integral part of this region. We are in an exciting and crucial time as we go from being a small company to a mid-sized organization that creates, produces, presents, and incubates work within this community and exports it worldwide. Empty Space was founded in 2004 and has grown from producing one show every year to bringing culturally and socially relevant work from across the country and around the world to our communities. We've challenged the preconceptions of theater to create, produce, and present work that is accessible and affordable to low-income families while creating a space for Indigenous, immigrant, refugee, and marginalized voices to be heard. Empty Space has expanded our community of collaborators to create programs such as Newcomer Youth Drama in partnership with the YMCA, providing opportunities for newcomer youth to experience the impact of theater firsthand so that they have an outlet through which they can share their stories. Empty Space has also collaborated with the Center for Community-Based Research numerous times to develop pieces which speak to issues of mental health, faith, and social justice, providing alternate perspectives to social workers and policymakers. This past year, we collaborated on 2 community projects that we are planning to continue as annual programs. This past spring, Empty Space was a key partner in the X Page project, which brought together 21 women who identified as newcomers to the region to develop a theater piece that was performed by the women at CG in Waterloo to a full, sold-out auditorium. The monologues that these women performed were then published in a recent issue of New Quarterly magazine. Also this past May, Empty Space offered our support to the Yuva project, which brought youth from the red light district in Mumbai to Waterloo region for a 2-week arts program with local Indigenous and refugee youth. For both of these projects, Empty Space was sought out by groups who needed organizational support to get their projects off the ground, as well as artistic mentorship and insight. As our artistic output and offerings grow, so does our community. And we have found ourselves increasingly playing the role of an incubator in this region, a necessary role that is required to enrich the local arts ecology so that by supporting big ideas by artists and ad hocs, we elevate the wider community. As we look to our future, we have our own dream of fulfilling our role as an incubator of socially conscious work while expanding our team to support this vision and the work that we do. So at this time, I'd like to introduce a new team member to the Empty Space team, our Impact Festival producer, Emily Jung.
Hello, it's very nice to meet you. When I learned about Empty Space and the work that they have been producing and doing, I knew I wanted to become a part of the team. I studied arts management at the University of Toronto's Scarborough campus with a focus on not-for-profit arts. And since then, I worked in Toronto arts organizations such as Canadian Stage and the Toronto International Festival of Authors at Harbourfront Centre. As Pam mentioned, we started from a company that produced 1 show, and by 2011, we grew our operational budget to $380,000. This year, after 8 years since then, our operational budget is at $570,000. 2 years ago, Canada Council for the Arts recognized Empty Space's achievements and awarded a core funding of $150,000 per year for 3 years. This is our 3rd year of this core funding, which enables us to increase this operational ask to grow our organization. This means that the Canada Council for the Arts is recognizing that Empty Space has become an asset to the arts ecology at a national level. Pam and I sat down to discuss where Empty Space is in the community today compared to when we started. A lot of you may know Majdi Bou-Matar, our founding artistic director. And he started the company with the same sort of reason that a lot of young companies in Canada start from. There isn't really a space for them to present their work, so they create their own platform. What set Empty Space apart is that it's grounded in equity. Not only for ourselves, but Empty Space had a vision to give voice and platform to those who felt marginalized, racialized, and displaced. You can imagine what force the company must have had and the kind of consistent perseverance that the leadership had to maintain in order to arrive where they are now since 2004. The projects that Pam mentioned, like Newcomer Youth and the X Page project, are projects that Empty Space had visioned from the beginning. These projects came to us naturally. Same goes for the Impact Festival. There is a need for a festival like this in this region, not only to present high-quality works to the public, but to give a stage for local producing companies to present their work. A lot of artists need stages like Impact to tell granting bodies that they have stood on a professional stage or will be standing on a professional stage. Empty Space naturally found its role as an arts incubator, producer, and presenter in the Waterloo region. Even despite our recent funding shortfall of $85,000, Impact is presenting a stellar lineup this year. We're doing something right, and we're at a crucial stage where we have to craft and implement a more strategic vision. I always had a special interest on equity and community outreach, and the impact of the arts on its local community. I began studying arts management when West Queen West in Toronto, or some of you may know it as Parkdale, was rapidly gentrifying. I remember Parkdale area at the stage of development as grassroots festivals and artist-run centers began actively taking form. Today, West Queen West is home to a vibrant community of artists, innovative new restaurants, and stores featuring emerging fashion designers. From purple soft-serve ice creams to Artscape's annual Zine Festival, if you want to be in the know, then you travel to West Queen West. Despite being 20 minutes away from the heart of downtown Toronto on the Queen Street streetcar, which is notorious for being a bad experience, the West Queen West community is one of the most vibrant areas in the city today. One of the organizations that found a home at the vitalization stages of West Queen West is the Theatre Centre. The Theatre Centre found their venue in 2012. The City of Toronto leases its heritage building, renovated to hold the theatre for up to 190 seats. The Theatre Centre is the organizer of a biennial 7A 11D festival, a performance festival featuring innovative new works that are intersectional. They're also known for their residency program that incubates and produces theatre. Pam and I found similarities between the Theatre Centre and Empty Space, and naturally we began looking closely at the history of this organization and found inspiration in their success. The two organizations are very similar in that it was born on the grounds of equity. The Theatre Centre was formed in 1979 by companies such as Buddies and Bad Times Theatre, Canada's first LGBTQ theatre company, and Nightwood Theatre, who works with a mission to empower women in theatre. Both companies also have a strong emphasis on new and experimental work. The Theatre Centre supports artists who wish to develop works of an experimental or alternative theatre, and works that are produced from the Theatre Centre holds around 40 Dora nominations. The Theatre Centre is an incubating organization to an ever-growing era in West Queen West. Empty Space recognizes a huge potential in the works created in our community, and at this year's Impact Festival, we're presenting 6 local productions alongside an industry conference and arranging one-on-one meetings with funding bodies to expose these productions to an international and national presenters and funders.
So in 2016, I had the opportunity to participate in ArtsBuild's Arts Facilities Mentoring Network, where arts leaders are paired with venued organizations to mentor in building and maintaining capital projects. Coincidentally, or not, I was paired with Frank Goboni, the artistic director of the Theatre Centre in Toronto, who helped to renovate and build their facility. Through this mentorship, I was able to learn each and every step the Theatre Centre took to not only create their bricks and mortar space, but also how they became venue managers as well. I learned about their challenges and successes in depth, and most importantly, I learned how we are similar. When the Theatre Centre received the old Carnegie Library to renovate into a theatre, they were a similar-sized organization to us, in their staff size, their activities, and even how much they were able to fundraise every year. The Theatre Centre is my personal inspiration and motivation for where Empty Space can grow and what it can become in this community. It's become a very special place for artists in Queen West, and as Emily mentioned, played a key role in economic development in that part of Toronto. I encourage you to look up the Theatre Centre, and if you're interested in chatting more about what I learned from my mentorship, I would love to share my notes with you. But today, this morning, I share this with you because it's time for us to talk about our next steps together. We have big dreams to continue to expand our activities and partnerships so that we can engage in more on-the-ground, meaningful community arts projects, offer more workshops to foster arts appreciation, present theater pieces to other sectors to help shed light on diversity and inclusion issues, and provide programming for newcomer youth so that we're empowering young leaders of today. We want to be able to employ even more artists on a more consistent basis through all of our activities, including creating and touring our work, so that we give them a reason to stay in Waterloo region and call this place home. And we aim to grow our staff to attract talent to this community, like Emily, who we kind of stole from Toronto. So, our next steps as we plan for this future is to become an organization like the Theatre Centre in Toronto, where we too can have a space that artists can call home and create where we can program world-class theater and partner with socially conscious organizations, a space that we can offer to this community at accessible and affordable rates while developing a business model that helps increase empty spaces' own sustainability with consistent revenue generation and employment of artists and staff. This is our mid to long-term goal. We want you to dream with us too. Experience the work that we do, the impact that we have on this community, and the recognition that we're receiving nationally and internationally. Come to Impact and see how this community has come together to support a festival and an organization who has demonstrated their resilience after losing $85,000 in funding. Engage in conversations with the delegations who will be coming from Canada Council for the Arts, Canadian Heritage, Manitoba Arts Council, and Ontario Presents, and learn what sets us apart from other parts of the province and the country. There's a reason these delegations are choosing to attend Impact, and I hope we've given you many reasons to attend Impact too. Our opening ceremonies will be on September 24th at 6 p.m. at the museum, followed by our opening night performance, Fears, by the National Theatre of Tunisia in the Conrad Center. I invite you all to attend with a complimentary ticket on us. We invite you to take this opportunity to experience where we are now and have a conversation about where we can go together. So thank you for taking the time to have us here today and hearing us, and I hope that I see many of you at Impact, and I look forward to following up with each of you after the festival.
Well, thanks very much, Pam and Emily, and thanks very much for that invitation. Are you going to send it to members of council electronically?
Pardon me?
The ticket, can you send, how are you going to do that?
Oh, well, so we have brochures with my business card attached, so you can get in touch with me. Yes, I believe you all have them. So
Okay.
you can either
So
drop
maybe-
me an email or you can call our office.
It's already in there? Okay, great. Okay, thank you. We got a couple questions. Councillor Jaworski.
Well, thank you very much, Emily, and through the chair, through Emily. Well, welcome, Emily, and thank you, Pam. Regarding the theater center, which I'm just looking at here, it's, as you mentioned, it's Carnegie Building, which is typically not very big. And so that's actually encouraging with how much that you've said they've been able to do in a building that's probably 30,000 square feet. Can you draw a comparison of size of buildings? I'm guessing they're quite comparable, right, in terms of that the theater center in Queen West is probably of comparable size of what you could operate in here?
Oh, for sure. That's why it's for me, it's very inspiring, but also very realistic. It's a model that I think could really work here. And what they've done with the space is they've really diversified the usage and also basically their revenue generation. So they have a larger theater space, a smaller theater space. They have an art gallery, and they also have a cafe/bar that has free Wi-Fi. So it's not only a performing venue, but it's also a hangout. And I've met people there who just go to do their work, and they didn't even realize there were theater performances that happened in that building.
Oh, well done. Great analogy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chair Redmond.
Thank you, Chair Strickland. Thank you for coming, and you really are coming with two messages. One is impact, and the other is your longer vision. I think it's impressive that you got 3 years of core funding, and I guess I'm just wondering what happens when that stops, because that's all the sort of quintessential tension, project funding versus core funding for theater arts groups and actually social agencies as well. Have you turned your mind as to how you think you'll sort of backfill that money when it's not there? And how does the funding work at Queen West? Do they rely on donations, or where does their funding come from for operations?
So the Canada Council for the Arts providing this core funding, I mean, they did give an increase to a number of arts organizations across the country, but this is actually a very special case. This is a more than double increase than our core funding that we were increasing. So we were part of their strategic vision to grow our capacity. So the plan for the Canada Council for the Arts is for us to maintain and grow this budget. So they're aware of it, and we have a very close relationship to our funding bodies. And also Canadian Heritage provides us with a significant operational funding. So we have very personal relationships with our funding officers who are aware of our strategic vision, who support it, and we have received confirmation of that. The Queen West project for the theater center was part of a $6 million fundraising campaign. So additionally to the support of the city, the organization itself fundraised for this mission. And of course, the funding pool in Toronto is a lot larger. There are more philanthropic organizations that are specifically for the arts. For example, the fundraiser ended with a $500,000 donation from one person. But again, this is a very realistic long-term goal that we're looking at because the theater space is small, but that is what it's meant to do. It's meant to feature works that the community can come to. So that's where that stands, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just add a couple things too, is the theater center, when they were fundraising for their venue, they also raised an additional $1 million to go towards making that space affordable, which I think oftentimes, companies that are making the transition into venue managers often leave that part out of the equation, is how do you even make the space affordable? So they embedded that into their initial plans of like building that space. And when it comes to our core funding, that's funding that isn't going to disappear after the 3 years. We'll just get a reassessment of where we're at. And our funding will either stay the same or increase. It's pretty unlikely that we're going to get cut because we're doing some we are leaders in our field in this country of presenting and producing diverse theater. But we do have an opportunity to apply for an increase that'll be another 3-year round. And this funding also applies to our Ontario Arts Council funding.
Thank you. It's very encouraging.
Okay, no further questions. Thanks very much, Pam and Emily. It's great to see your enthusiasm for the arts in Waterloo region. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Okay, consent agenda. There's a report on provincial funding announcements, one on the service review. Could I have a mover for consent agenda? Councillor Entz, Councillor Kiefer, all those in favor? That's carried. No new changes in the funding announcements. We're still facing a 1.5 million approximately shortfall for next year. Council inquiries, requests, seeing none. Other business we dealt with. Next meeting, we need a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Fox and Councillor Jowett. All those in favor? What's that? I did the closed. Oh, what's this? Oh, sorry, there's an additional item. I did that already. Oh, I'm sorry. We have to add G to the motion to go into closed session, that we're also receiving advice subject to solicitor-client privilege and negotiations on behalf of the municipality. So with that amendment, we've moved the closed session. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Redmond, Chair Redmond, Councillor Shantz, all those in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.